Hi, my name is Marco. I'm a former pro opera singer turned voice actor. Today we're going to be listening to Starscourge Radahn, and I recall this fight incredibly well. It's the last thing I did in Caelid. As soon as I was done, I got out, and that's pretty much where I sort of push pause on my playthrough of Elden Ring, though I'm trying to get back to it right now. Let me just say that this fight is remarkable. There's so much about this that is so incredible and fresh and new for FromSoft, and I'm really eager to see what direction they'll take future games with these mechanics. It felt like a raid battle that you would face in an MMO, so I'm very curious to see where they go with that in terms of gameplay. In terms of music, to me this really feels like a fallen gladiator who is completely gone berserk and doesn't even know who he is anymore, and doesn't even know what his purpose on purpose of living is anymore. All he knows is one thing, and that's to fight and to feast. Consumed from the inside by scarlet rot, you have to wonder what's really going on in there anymore besides this champion who still holds on to the thrill of battle, though I don't think he's even cognizant of what's happening anymore. So let's dive in. A few things before we move into the next section. Number one is you hear these drums, and you've got that very much this tribal, primal, gladiator conquest match. We hear in the men's chorus, we hear the sort of ode to Radahn's past, a warrior of great prowess and great strength, forced essentially into a gladiator prison, where he's essentially enslaved to fight and kill and eat and feast, and he's lost all sense of himself, and so you hear this sort of reminiscent sound to what he used to be. He is driven, and you also hear in the bum ba-da-dum ba-da-dum ba-da-da-da-dum ba-da-dum. I think that's him on that horse riding around, but also, I think being that he's got that scarlet rot that's basically emptied out his body besides the will to eat and to feast, you hear that sort of in the music. You hear this, I hear a lot of vowels. And in some ways, that makes me think that it's reminding the player, it's tuning the player in that this is a once great warrior who now is hollowed out. And especially when you hear vowels like O's and A's, which are very open. I'm reaching here, but I think it could be pretty interesting. Being that those vowels are open and it's all very tall in the column, there's a sense of not only is he larger than life, but also he's hollow. And a lot of those O vowels and A vowels, I don't know what the vowels they are saying, but it sounds like O's and A's to me. That is also signifying this sort of like emptiness that's inside of him. But again, those drums are really what stand out to me the most. Boom, brum, boom, boom. You know, those are really like the warrior's call, the beast's call. You know, there's definitely that sound of hearing. It's like marching on, and you know, he has no purpose anymore but to destroy and kill and eat and feast and satisfy those needs. But as far as like thinking, there's nothing up there anymore. He's not thinking about what he wants. He's basically a zombie. He doesn't have a consciousness. He's not thinking, but he always has that hunger and that desire to get those primal basic evolutionary needs met. Do you hear how the comet that he turns into when he slams into the ground? The comet here is represented by the lower brass. You hear that, and you hear and see the comet exploding, or Radahn exploding from the night sky into the ground, and it's for the ear, it's very apparent what that is, and aurally we hear that is what's happening here. There's this sort of eruption of sound that is obviously contextually we know is him flying through the sky, but if you didn't see it or know it, you could arguably understand that is an eruption. Did you hear what I heard? That is an ode to a great warrior. That is respect in that sound. Sadness that things have occurred the way that they have, and he has become a shadow or a shade of his former self. When we hear this is very quite plaintive, and there's so many different things. You've got the drum going bum brum. That I think is celebrating Radahn's warriorship and prowess. And then you've got the that I think is quiet sadness of what's become of Radahn. And then we've got just this we've got that beautiful melody too that I really feel that even though this second phase is brutal and deadly, we know that Radahn has to die. And so there is an honoring in his death that would be a warrior's death, and even though he is slain, there is great respect and admiration for what Radahn used to be. It's like his race is going extinct. And so there is a sort of admiration and appreciation, even though the beast must die. There is always this sense of great respect that the beast has to be put down. Yeah, killer track. I mean, there are so many things in here, and I do love this very, very, gladiatorial sort of like, come to fight, are you not entertained? This sort of that vibe, because this is a larger than life being that we have no business possibly putting down. And yet this is what we're supposed to do, and that's what we will do. So I think in the first half there's fear, and obviously it's an imposing force, and we see the sort of decrepitness of the horse and of him inside as well. You look at him and he's not at all what he may have been before the scarlet rot sort of ate his insides. And then we have the second phase, which is this sort of like, well, time is coming. We are going to put him down. And I think perhaps Radahn, somewhere deep in his consciousness, also knows that my time has come. Let me give everything I have to give, which is why we see all these, the lightning strikes and the sword slashes are more violent, and the comet, and it's sort of this last gasping breath of air for this great, incredible warrior that we say farewell to. So, amazing piece. Thank you so much as always. If you want to support the channel or request a song, feel free to check out the links in the bio. There's never any pressure at all, so don't worry about that. If you want to join the Discord, feel free to. We'd love to have you. And as always, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you later. Bye. See ya.